All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you all. Please find a seat. I know the Friday show can be a little crowded. Thank you. I know. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Just when I thought you're done, I'm just overwhelmed by your recorded adulation. It is great to be with you on a Friday. The Friday that brings the vindictiveness out of the woods and into the American legal system, my friends. We will talk about what's happening in the world of vengeful law. Kim is here to help squire us through.
Kim, how are you?
And she will chit us into the second hour, which will feature a look back at the week with Michael Shore, who should be here. But we have a packed show even before we get to the second hour. Albert is here.
Albert, thank you.
Albert, who recommended the no jacket today for me. He said it's a casual Friday kind of thing, and so that's why we are here. First into the chat today was Peter, who says, happy birthday, Olivia. Right on. Happy birthday, Olivia Newton-John. I used to have such a crush on Olivia Newton-John. Albert, do you know who Olivia Newton-John was?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. How many hits of Olivia Newton-John do you think you could name, Albert?
Oh.
Just the whole Grease movie, maybe?
The whole Grease movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Grease movie probably. So, apart from the Grease movie, probably none?
I'd have to hear it. I can't say the names.
Yeah, no. I think you know them all. Right.
Yeah, I know she had plenty of hits.
She was like wall to wall. Right. What's that, Kim?
Was it Xanadu, one of hers?
Yeah, Xanadu had a bunch of hits, too.
Mm-hmm.
She had... she had a beautiful voice, and she was a beautiful lady.
Yeah.
You put it all together, and it's an entertainment package.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, happy birthday to she has I think passed.
She's passed away. Yeah.
Yeah, there she is. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some great old videos on YouTube of Olivia Newton-John and the other stars of the 70s, singing together. Like there's a mashup of. I've seen this.
Yeah.
I'm laughing just because it's such of a time, Olivia Newton-John, she had a special, and ABBA sings on it with Andy Gibb, and they do it's like a mashup thing. I'd play it for you, but we'd be demonetized. We can't really play any music on the show, but it is a fun throwback to the 70s. And second into the chat, what's that?
She did Let's Get Physical. Remember that song?
Oh, yeah. Let's Get Physical.
I honestly
love you. Let Me Be There, which is kind of a country thing.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly love you. I think it was #1 song. I mean, it was on all the time. And she had tons of hits.
Yeah, she did. She had quite a voice.
There she is. Yeah, she was a sweetheart from Australia, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing with Olivia Newton-John and her husband. Do you remember? He claimed he fell off a boat or something, and it was claimed that he went missing. Do you recall this?
No.
Oh, yeah. Google this. This is really worth it. It's a great little dive.
Google it.
You'll find that I think he faked his own death. I guess to get out of the marriage or something. It's kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah. But do you see anything on it? It's pretty wild. As I recall, he was missing or reported missing. And then the more investigators looked for him, it seemed clear that it was maybe not foul play, but something that he was actually hatching on his own. Yeah.
What a scumbag.
Yeah. How did a grand jury let this get by? We'll talk about that. V. Britton asks. She was second into the chat. And we will talk about that, the Comey indictment. And in addition to Olivia Newton-John, Nullifidian, who was third into the chat. Says some birthdays: T.S. Eliot, George Gershwin, George Raff, Kent McCord, Olivia Newton-John, Linda Hamilton, and Zoe Perry. Thank you for that. All right. Well, those are your early contestants into the chat. We are a live show, so you can jump into the chat anytime on YouTube. We're on until 1 o'clock-ish, a little after 1 on the West Coast, a little after 4 on the East Coast. And we're live every day, Monday through Friday. And, of course, then as an audio podcast up on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts. You can just check us out. After the show, it goes right up as an audio podcast. So please be part of that crew that joins us there. So we will get rocking.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty wild. I'm going to get to, of course, to the James Comey indictment. Today, Benjamin Netanyahu, meantime, is going to address the United Nations. You talk about awkward.
He is, and they turned their backs and walked out, many of them.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it is it's an odd place for Benjamin Netanyahu to be making any kind of case to a world that I'm sure Netanyahu would say was already against me. It's already against Israel. But certainly those nations that Israel has traditionally thought of as allies, they've come around to the fact that what's going on in Gaza is absolutely intolerable, must stop. And Netanyahu's been declared a war criminal. In fact, to get to the UN, to get to New York, his plane had to divert around some European nations that would have intercepted the plane and actually brought it down, and he would have been held for war crimes.
Albert has him walking out. Look at that.
There he is, and there they are. Yeah, in a show of disgust. That is the General Assembly walking out on Benjamin Netanyahu. President Trump, letting his Justice Department do the dirty work. Meanwhile, he does what he loves to do most: attend a golf tournament.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
The country isn't falling apart or anything.
He's going to the Ryder Cup today. It's in Farmingdale, New York. He's the first sitting president to attend the century-old tournament between the U.S. and Europe.
It's nice.
I don't know if that's a brag or that's just a sign of, I'd rather be attending a golf tournament than doing anything, I've got my henchmen doing the dirty work so I can move on. Maybe that's just me being anti-Trumpy.
It hasn't worked. Europe is currently leading against the old Americans so far.
Oh?
Wow. There's never been anything like this.
He takes his granddaughter to a lot of sporting events.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's got a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the new ballroom renderings are in. Before I get to the heavy stuff, I wanted to share with you. It's a really exciting. I know everybody's following the ballroom build out. It's a 90,000 square foot ballroom that will have a seating capacity for 650 guests.
What?
Yeah.
So nice.
It'll be constructed in the White House's East Wing. And do we have the pics up at all, or you can see the
huge? It's bigger than the residence. I mean, this thing is
the new ballroom, significantly larger than the main White House, as Kim says.
Dripping with gold and chandeliers.
Yes, it has a very Saudi Arabia feel to it, which is very nice.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have some. Here's the new renderings of what it'll look like inside. And I have to say, it's very let them eat cake. When you are cutting Medicaid, like the healthcare for the poorest of Americans, and then you turn around and create this massive ballroom dripping with the luxury and the excess. Come on.
Yeah.
You are not the common man. I'm sorry. You don't represent the people.
Well, no, and that's an interesting point that Kim makes, because really Donald Trump's superpower, that he was really able to sell a populism, that he was the guy to represent your interests in Washington. It always struck me as a pretty ridiculous pitch, but he was able to sell it to enough people. Anyway, your guy is building that ballroom, and it will be quite the gold-encrusted offering. And speaking of that, and speaking of selling things, Melania into the Christmas ornament game. She is really leaning in with the Melania Trump Christmas collection. And why not? The ornaments that she's pitching, brass and enamel, are selling for $75 to $90 a piece. If you want all 6 ornaments, it's $465.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
Wow.
3 of the ornaments depict the U.S. landmarks, the Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, and Mount Rushmore, while 3 feature patriotic imagery. All 6 have an engraving of the First Lady's signature, as well as the option of a unique digital collectible.
Would you pay $465 for 6 Christmas ornaments?
I have all my merch funding going into Mark merch.
That's
right.
No.
In fact, I got the new T-shirt in, just arrived, literally right before the show. It was like the doorbell run, and this is the.
Oh.
Now this T-shirt is really quite tasteful. This is an embroidered logo.
Oh, that's high class. Yeah.
Yes, very classy, and I just couldn't. It came in right before the show, and it's in black, and it's also in white. You can see it's still in the package. This one, and I think if you're a remarkable, it feels very uniform, meaning like you'd want this to be your uni. Not too over the top, not too in your face. If you order now, you can probably get it for No King's Day, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, this is nice. This is a different material, actually. This is a really cool. What is that material, Albert? That lightweight kind of wick. It feels like it wicks.
It's a moisture wicking. Yeah.
Moisture wicking. Yeah.
It's the
Kind of like
athletic
a dry
shirt.
fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a winner too. So
Nice.
And they're long sleeve tees coming, I think. So it's black or white, whatever your deal is. And again,
we might have to get into the ornament game to combat these.
We might need. We did have them. Oh, look at that. There they are. Yeah.
they're the Melania's ornaments.
They're
I feel
very
like that
gold.
hand in the middle should have been DEI'd out of that picture. Though.
Yeah. It's a little too brown. I don't know why that's on the White House website. Look at that.
How did that black hand to get in?
How
into that
dare
picture?
he make it to that picture?
That's a very golden ornaments.
Yeah. I mean, they're not bad looking ornaments to
They're
be
fine.
fair, but I mean, what were the Michelle Obama ornaments like, Kim?
I don't remember any.
Exactly.
Oh. 465.
Exactly. No one's selling merch from the White House. No one's done it.
They're going to put the golden ornaments in the golden ballroom on a golden tree.
Of course, now it's merch. You know, everything is merch.
There's never been anything like this.
Right. That's for sure.
That
There
ballroom
really
isn't
hasn't
going to
been
pay
anything
for itself, Mark. Well, it will be because that's our tax dollars, but you know.
They say, I thought that he's claiming that the ballroom will be paid for in other ways, but, again, I don't take anything that he says too seriously.
Apparently, he's bringing back the vodka, too. That, nobody really wanted the Trump vodka. That kind of sat on the shelves, but no, we're going to try again.
Yeah, the dormant vodka brand is back. In fact, Governor Newsom was on with Stephen Colbert, and I think spoofed it with his own vodka line, or he had Newsom wine. Was that what he did?
Yeah. It's just so silly.
Yeah, Newsom wine is he put it up there on Albert has it for you. Yeah. You can take a look. He put it up on social media wine with a big N on the bottle. And the words "coming soon" above the post. So yeah. Anyway, that's the state of the state when it comes to merch, when it comes to cashing in on the White House.
There's not really Newsom wine. That's a troll, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'd consider it tacky, but tacky kind of left the building a while ago. So it's cool to now you can tack away.
Yeah.
So we have quite an overwhelming show for you, even when we limit ourselves to what's happening with the law and the Justice Department, now weaponized to take on a lot of Trump's perceived enemies. It's odd to me and I'll make this point probably again, but James Comey gave him the 2016 election, in my view. The 2016 election came down to like 48,000 votes, and Comey announced 10 days before the election that they were reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. It absolutely had a chilling effect on those who might have intended to vote for Hillary Clinton. And it also might have even had an effect of people being so disgusted they voted for Trump. You know, they bought the email, what about her email stuff? So Comey, to me, is a bad guy, okay? Comey's goodness, if you want to talk good, bad, comes in that he appears honest. You know, I don't think he's corrupt in the traditional sense that one might see corruption on display now in the White House. But to me, it's ironic that he would have been, in my judgment again, so instrumental in helping Trump achieve the presidency in 2016 and yet find himself on the business end of an indictment from the same guy. And it's a concocted indictment. It's completely phonied up indictment. It's lacking any kind of legal underpinning. And that he would find himself on the business end of that is just truly irony. So I'll get deeper into that in a second. Quickly, Harry Magnum with a $5 super chat says, happy Friday. Would Trump like some cheese with his wine? WHINE. I see what you did. Very, very clever.
Big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out. Vilma says, yes, Comey gave Trump the election, but he does not deserve to be prosecuted for nothing. Right. No, exactly. I completely agree. All right. So without any further delay, we'll get into it in an overstuffed version of Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Happened, the promised indictment of James Comey, the former FBI director. It really is something that Trump expressly wanted. He fired a career prosecutor who was MAGA. The guy he fired, Eric Siebert, was MAGA, man. He was right wing. And he fired him because Siebert couldn't bring charges against Comey, and that's what he wanted. There were months and months of investigations, and they couldn't find evidence of wrongdoing. Criminal wrongdoing that would justify an indictment.
What
so
do you
he
need
got rid of
evidence for?
Siebert.
Yeah, you don't need that.
And he put in a toady, a woman who was his personal lawyer. She had a lot of insurance stuff for him in Florida. And he put her in. She's never even prosecuted a case, but she brings the case like an hour later. So, I mean, that literally might have been, 2 days later. And, he had demanded from Pam Bondi that these charges be brought right away. Remember that the delay after he had said he was bringing charges was bad for his reputation. So now the Justice Department has indicted former FBI Director James Comey. Again, this is after President Trump publicly complained that Pam Bondi hadn't secured charges against him and some of his other political adversaries. Trump says the quiet stuff out loud, and in this case, the quiet stuff is the grotesque vengeance that has now defined the Justice Department. Bondi confirms, saying on social media that the indictment is emblematic of the Justice Department's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. Wow, man, it's rich, huh? Comey is someone who Trump has long accused of criminal conduct related to the FBI investigation into possible collusion between Russia and his campaign during the 2016 election. He was indicted on one count of making false statements and one count of obstruction of justice. There was a third count, and they didn't bring it. Couldn't get the grand jury to agree to it. And this grand jury is in Alexandria, Virginia. That's right across the bridge from Washington, D.C. So it's really effectively a Washington, D.C. trial or a Washington, D.C. Case legally. in terms of its jurisdiction. And this is congressional testimony that Comey gave. We talked a bit about it with David Katz yesterday, but for those who missed it, it accuses him of lying when he said he had not authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports. And again, this is testimony he gave. It was read back to him by Ted Cruz, and Comey confirmed that he stood by the testimony he gave. So they had to bring this case right away because there was going to be a 5-year statute of limitations that was set to run out. So they sprung this at the very last instant. And the indictment itself is short. It's 2 pages, and typically these indictments have a lot of specifics. In this case, there are not a lot of specifics. And again, the grand jury having passed on that 3rd indictment, it looks as though this may have a short legal life based on everything I've read. But this all relates to the Russia investigation and Wall Street Journal reporting about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's charitable foundation. But the idea somehow that there's a coherence to this, that there's any real evidence of criminal wrongdoing, it's pretty much absurd on its face, we know, because the last career prosecutor, the guy who really had his act together and really had some cred, even though he was MAGA and right wing, he passed on the whole thing. He said, look, there's nothing here. So the Comey statement, he made a statement, and I believe we have it. It was a video statement, wasn't it, Albert?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Here's James Comey reacting.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Yeah, if you're James Comey, I would think you want a speedy trial, and you want, and you want this to go right away to the public forum of a trial. And, I think it's going to be pretty much on display that this is a vindictive prosecution, and that is something you can use in your defense. So this is more than just, stuff of commentary. It's a stuff of a legal defense. What's that, Kim?
If that's true, and you can use the vindictiveness in your defense, then Trump just handed the defense here the information they need on a silver platter, because this morning he came out with another one of his social media posts, and he called James Comey corrupt James Comey. He says he lied. It's not a complex lie. It's very simple, but a very important one. And there's no way he can explain his way out of it. And then he gave Comey a new nickname. He called him James Dirty Cop Comey, a destroyer of lives, knew what he was saying, knew it was very serious, and the price must be paid. If that's not vindictiveness and pettiness, that just send the judge the social media post from Trump and let it be done.
Well, I don't know, by the way, that social media post, loathsome though it may be, and it's just so beneath the office of the presidency.
Well, sure.
Presidency has become sort of this now gangster thing where Trump is just the top gangster and mob boss. So he talks that way. But the real social media post, to your point, is the one where he said, Pam Bondi, I want you to go after these guys. Yes. And I want that's the one. Mm-hmm. That alone. But you're right. Putting that stuff on display seems like it will be quite relevant. Mm-hmm. And so there'll be a lot of chances to put that stuff out there. And this will go down in October. He'll enter a plea in October, and obviously it's not guilty. And it will be, I think, they'll be able to dismiss these charges and certainly ask for dismissal based on all this stuff we've talked about, and including the president of the United States having made it clear that he was going to go after James Comey, review all of this evidence, there is none, and then look at internal documents at the Justice Department, which they will be able to gain access to, and I think it will be clear that it is it's a jihad that they were pursuing independent of any evidence. Here's a legal analyst, Elliot Williams, saying, fortunately for Comey, the president put so much in writing. Comey can easily point to all of those social media statements, this is what we were saying, to argue that the charges aren't just based on his alleged wrongdoing, but on politics or personal ill will. I would also say that, and this is something, a point that I make from time to time, because I really think it's easy to kind of get caught up in the X's and O's, and you lose the plot sometimes of the destruction of a life or the destruction of someone's livelihood at the hands of the government. James Comey is fine. I mean, he's got money, he's got stature, everybody knows that this is a fraud. I mean, again, he has issues with us because I believe he handed the election to Donald Trump, which is why this is so bizarre. Right. There they were in happier times, shaking hands, and they had that famous dinner that was memorialized in a film done by a friend of the show, Billy Ray, director and writer. But there are others who they go after. If you look at the list, it's a bunch of White House functionaries that they have decided were disloyal, Miles Taylor among them, national security analysts. And so you see how when the government goes after you, you have to lawyer up. It takes tremendous financial resources. You have a family. You have maybe another job that you've now been able to secure. That job becomes more tenuous because you have to go to court. You have to deal with all of these other things. And even employers may let go of you because you just become radioactive. You certainly begin to have problems functioning in your world because of these legal problems that you now have at the hands of the government, completely concocted legal problems. Again, put Comey's case aside. I'm just talking about the way in which the weaponization of justice can destroy you. It can bankrupt you, even if you're innocent. So we can sit here and go, well, obviously this charge isn't going to stick and this charge isn't going to. Yeah, but it takes lawyers to make that case. That takes money. It takes time. And so for most average Americans, again, leave James Comey out, it is a very difficult undertaking to somehow fight back against the government. And this is a serious enough threat that it gets people to bow out before they even want to deal with any of this.
Do you remember when Comey posted the picture, I don't know, a year or so ago? He was walking along the beach and saw some seashells, or it said 8647 or something. And then there was a big outcry that there was a threat against the president. This is what MAGA folks are sharing today. And they're getting into this, it just seems so like we're removed from this process, but they're very into this. And this is what, this is what they're posting today. Comey indicted on the beach with seashells.
Yeah, and this is the thing that's happened now in America, of course. It's become us versus them. So the merits of a case don't even matter. He's anti-Trump. Trump wants him out, so I'm with Trump, and that means I'm against Comey.
Yeah.
It's the trolling is sort of the new fun way to do politics in America, and lost in all of that is the reality, which is that the Justice Department has been turned on its side now. This is outrageous. This is unprecedented. It's unprecedented to have a president call for the prosecution of those who are his political enemies and political adversaries, and actually have the Justice Department do it. Well, it is unprecedented.
The reason that he was calling foul on the weaponization of the Justice Department when he was facing all the charges is because that's what he would do, right? It's just the irony of him saying, oh, they're weaponizing the Justice Department against me, and then turning around and actually doing that.
Well, it's all the projection, which has been that way since the beginning. James Comey's son-in-law, Troy A. Edwards Jr., resigning last night. His position was a national security prosecutor. In a one-sentence letter to the U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, again, the Trump toady who was appointed by Trump because the career prosecutor resigned, not wanting to do this dirty work. The letter read, "To uphold my oath to the Constitution and country, I hereby resign as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia in the Department of Justice, effective immediately." So he works in the same Virginia office that is now prosecuting his father-in-law, right?
Yep. Not anymore.
Yeah. And of course, his daughter successfully pulled off prosecutions, and she just pushed away from the table as well, left government. I mean, Trump fired her.
Yeah, she was fired.
Eric Swalwell says, "I fully expect to be next. My criticism of the Trump administration makes me likely a target." He is the congressman, you know, from California, vocal critic of Trump. He says he, quote, fully expects to be prosecuted by the Trump administration. He says, "I'm ready for it. I fully expect it." He said on CNN, when asked if he's concerned that, quote, down the road, you, Eric Swalwell, may be prosecuted, he said, yes, I'm ready for it. I fully expect it. And he noted that FBI Director Kash Patel previously wrote a book in which he listed 60 individuals he described as government gangsters who should be investigated. And Swalwell was on that list along with Senator Adam Schiff. They served alongside each other in the House. They were named at the very top of the list as the two worst. But Swalwell said he's not going to be intimidated by the Trump administration. Adam Schiff is under investigation now, so I'm ready for it. I expect it, but I'm not going to flinch, he said. I'm not hiding under the bed. I'm not going to shrink because that's the aim. That's why they do this. They hope that dissent and oversight goes away. So, they are trying to slow Democrats down. They're trying to get Democrats to slink away the way that the Republicans have, you know. But
what a waste of American taxpayer money with these, you know, frivolous prosecutions.
Yeah, that too. You're right. All these investigations and prosecutions. Yeah.
And we're focusing our energy on the Trump retribution list when there's actual real work to be done in America. What a waste of time and money.
Well, the retribution vengeance that is, I'd say, the defining characteristic of the Donald Trump administration is on display not only from Trump, not only from his Justice Department, but even from Tulsi Gabbard, who, as you know, is a good soldier this way as well. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard may have undermined the Trump administration's criminal investigation of former CIA Director John Brennan. She revoked the security clearances of current and former officials who could be called as potential witnesses in the case. She stripped the clearances of 37 former and current intelligence and national security officials because she claimed they were manipulating or leaking intelligence or were involved in other misconduct. Her office did not, though, properly coordinate the move with other agencies, and the Justice Department was blindsided. Some of the people targeted by Gabbard worked in the Obama administration, you see, and that's why I mention it in the same context as the Vengeance Tour. They're looking to pull clearances from anyone who isn't MAGA now. So many of these people, or some of these people at minimum, could be possibly called as witnesses in the government's probe, but now these potential witnesses have been labeled by the Director of National Intelligence as unreliable and traitorous. That's the reason you pulled their clearance, and that'll complicate efforts by prosecutors to build a case against Brennan. How can they be reliable witnesses now, said one senior official. It's reasonable to assume that these people would be less inclined to cooperate with prosecutors. So the collaboration between the Department of Justice and the national intelligence community headed by Tulsi Gabbard, clearly that fell apart. Again, incompetence at every level, but the vengeance is the defining characteristic, right? The Epstein discharge petition is likely to be voted on. You understand? This doesn't mean they'll be releasing the Epstein files, but it does mean that they'll be voting on a release. They can force the vote, if you will. Lawmakers in both parties fighting to force the Trump administration to release all the federal files on Jeffrey Epstein got closer to their goal this week. That victory in the special House election in southern Arizona, won by Adelita Grijalva, that sends another Democrat to Capitol Hill, and that secures the deciding 218th signature on this discharge petition designed to compel the Justice Department to disclose these still concealed documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Grijalva's endorsement is going to force a House vote, even though Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike, and other GOP leaders who are siding with President Trump oppose this bill and want to keep the Epstein files secret. So this is very unusual, by the way. I guess these discharge petitions are really not usually successful. But the discharge petition, I'll remind you, was led by a Republican, Thomas Massey from Kentucky. And so he's a Trump critic, but he's really on a jihad about the Epstein files. So we'll see if this actually, it will produce a vote, you would think.
They say with Grijalva now that they have enough votes, and so this thing will move forward. He can't put this back in the bottle. This Epstein thing, it's moving. It's a moving train that he cannot stop.
House Democrats introduce articles of impeachment against RFK Jr.
What?
Yeah. Haley Stevens from Michigan, the congressperson there, announcing that she would introduce articles of impeachment. This just happened. We got off the air yesterday. She's saying healthcare chaos is the reason. She wrote, healthcare chaos, reckless cuts, rising costs. Michiganders and families across the country are paying the price for RFK Jr.'s agenda. Enough is enough, which is why I'm drafting articles of impeachment against Secretary Kennedy. She's repeatedly called for Kennedy's removal from his role since he became health secretary. So all of these things happen on this Friday. And doctors are calling for RFK Jr. to go. You have this Instagram post, Albert?
This is pretty powerful. This guy is representing quite the number of doctors who are saying, listen, what they're doing is hurting people. This is not based on science or medicine or helping people. They don't want this. The doctors of America.
Let's give it a ride. Here you can take a listen and give a look.
Specialists. President of the American College of Physicians. Today, the American College of Physicians, representing over 162,000 internal medicine specialists, call upon President Trump and Congress to remove and replace Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. As physicians and scientists, we have lost confidence in the Secretary's ability to perform his duties in this role. He has spread medical misinformation. He has not relied on science, data, or evidence, and his actions represent an existential threat by continuing to undermine the data and public health infrastructure and evidence that we rely on to take care of our patients. We deserve a secretary who will rely on the evidence and science to make sure we can make the best decisions for our patients. Our country deserves better.
Yeah. There it is, true. Does feel like that that pretty well says it. I have an interview upcoming. I didn't run the Law and Disorder Open, did I?
No.
You did, and we have this one last short video from previous guest, lawyer Oyer.
Oh, this is super important. I was going to run it in, but I'm glad we're running it now. I should have run it a couple of minutes ago, but we got off on various conversations. So one of my favorite lawyers is Liz Oyer. She was the former pardon attorney for the United States, and she was another one she resigned because of, as you're aware, we discussed it on the show, she came on as a guest because of the demands to, for a lot of things that were going on in terms of pardons, but also, you'll remember she was wrapped up in the Mel Gibson case where Mel Gibson wanted a firearm again, and she was just looking at the facts going, well, this person has been convicted of this, and I think it was domestic violence thing. I forget exactly what the case was with Mel Gibson, so apologies for not remembering that specific. But you can go back and find the interview that we did here on the show with Liz. And she said that I can't approve that. I mean, that's just not the way it works. You're not allowed to, again, own a firearm once you've been convicted of domestic abuse or whatever the charge was. And so she was let go by the judge, or forced out by the Justice Department. He's a MAGA friend, and they demanded that he get this firearm permit and license reinstated. And she said, I won't do it. And she said she resigned over it. I think that was the thing that maybe was the straw that broke the camel's back, but obviously there was a lot going on with the Justice Department that she just couldn't countenance. So
what's interesting is we're going to have her on the show Monday as well. She's coming back.
She's coming up on Monday. So get your questions ready for Liz Oyer. If you have any, you can reach out to me and send them in at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com, themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. But anyway, so I follow Liz on social. I also follow her Substack, Lawyer Oyer, and here she is weighing in on this moment in Justice Department history.
Hey, everybody. Remember how I told you that Donald Trump has forgiven over $1 billion in debts owed by millionaires and billionaires convicted of crimes? Well, he just added another $800 million to that total. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. During the first months of his presidency, Trump granted clemency to dozens of people convicted of crimes involving fraud, meaning cheating other people out of money. Under federal law, those convicted of fraud are required to repay the money that they stole from their victims, but not so for those who Trump pardoned. Donald Trump's pardons had the legal effect of wiping out the obligation to repay the money. In total, Donald Trump's pardons have wiped out over $1.3 billion in debts owed by wealthy Americans to taxpayers and victims of crime. These are the receipts that I've showed you previously. Now, Trump has gone a step further. This week, the Securities and Exchange Commission abandoned civil enforcement actions against 3 of Trump's wealthiest pardon recipients. The SEC is a government agency responsible for protecting investors by filing civil lawsuits against those who commit fraud. But now, under the leadership of a Trump appointee named Paul Atkins, the SEC is walking away from those efforts to protect victims of fraud. Here are the 3 lucky beneficiaries of Trump's generosity. The first is Trevor Milton. Milton was convicted of defrauding investors in his electric car company out of over $600 million. Milton got a pardon after he donated millions to Trump and hired Brad Bondi, the brother of Attorney General Pam Bondi, to represent him. Next is Carlos Watson, who cheated investors in his media company and owed about $97 million. Watson leveraged connections to Trump, including paying $1 million to a well-connected attorney. And finally, Devin Archer, who stole money from workers' pension funds and a Native American tribe. Archer owed about $60 million in penalties. He received a full pardon after he agreed to assist members of Congress who were investigating Hunter Biden. These 3 could have been on the hook for over $800 million, but instead, they're walking away scot-free thanks to Donald Trump. In total, adding up the criminal penalties and the potential civil penalties that Trump has forgiven, the amount is over $2 billion. But definitely don't ask Donald Trump to forgive your student loans.
Wow,
hey, everybody.
that's just so beautiful. She's so good. And, I don't know if anybody out there has been involved in any kind of investment where it might be a small business person or it might be a large consortium, whatever, and you're solicited for funding and you're kind of offered a real business opportunity and it seems right and you check with people and then you commit like some big amount of money, some amount of money. We're not wealthy people, many of us, and we just, we put what money we think might actually grow and maybe support a business that we believe in. I did this with a business that I very much believed in. It was part of like a message that I thought I wanted to get out there, and then it was a total fraud. And the guy never even filed appropriate tax documentation. It was even in the New York Times, the way I was defrauded. But I also have been in other stuff that falls into that category. And when you end up with a court case where you finally get justice and the money is going to be paid along with penalties, and then something like this happens where the president of the United States comes along and just pardons him, it's outrageous. I mean, you feel violated, right? You should. I mean, it was a criminal violation. And yet, that's what happens. I mean, the nation was violated on January 6th, and those pardons were issued in a truly reckless manner. But I like the way that Liz adds some specifics to that which we know is happening. Pardons and justice is really open for business now with this president in a way even we've never seen it in a system that's already corrupt, let's face it. But this is a level of corruption unprecedented in the nation's history. That's law and disorder.
Yep.
Yep.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
The Mark Thompson Show. It was so long, I couldn't remember if I run the open or not. So you're saying I did run the open to Law and Disorder?
I don't even remember. Yeah, that was a long one.
We have more. There is Law and Disorder Part 2.
What?
Part 2. We'll run it in the next hour. I promise you. It's actually pretty good. And there's actually an insanely significant viral video that's out there now, very much related to Law and Disorder. It's an ICE video, and I'll show it to you next hour. But right now, I wanted to get to something else. First of all, is there anything in the chat I need to attend to before this interview? I ask you, Kim.
Kim, how are you?
How about this one?
Nothing here with a $10 super chat says POTUS at the Ryder Cup and Team USA obligated to react positively. The European team, quote, polite. European fans in the gallery, not so much. Oh, that's right. I forgot he has to deal with the public when he's out there at the Ryder Cup. Thank you for that. Jim Slayton with a $10 super chat says, I actually live in Santa Clara, the so-called radical left dystopia that's apparently too dangerous to host FIFA at Levi's Stadium. Yeah, sure. Nothing could be further from the truth. Is that what they decided, Albert, that FIFA's not going to go to Levi's Stadium because of the lefties?
Well, Donald Trump is warning the World Cup games may be moved from, quote, dangerous cities. And that includes Seattle and San Francisco, because apparently they're too dangerous to host a soccer tournament.
That is just so gross, man. Just so gross.
Only thing dangerous in Santa Clara is the sun. So, but that's literally it.
That's true. You get a seat. You get a seat in that stadium.
From the suites reflect the sun, and it's horrible. But other than that, there's nothing that is remotely dangerous in Santa Clara.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah. Jim Slayton says with a $5 super chat, so the chainsaw for bureaucracy is now the bailout for Argentina. Yeah. Money being air expressed to Argentina. Jim Slayton also saying, I'm trying to construct an enemies list and could use guidance. Oh, yeah, everybody should have an enemies list now, apparently. Is that the same as a retribution list, or do I have to keep them separate? Asking for organizational reasons only, he says. Yeah. That's a great question. These are really the X's and O's of the enemies and retribution lists. Louise for the $5 super chat. Happy Friday. It's a great day. My Dodgers win the West again, and I'm in line to enter the Ohana Festival grounds in beautiful Doheny State Park. Come on. That's our Luis, always doing something fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always got the glow about him. Candace Worthman with a $10 super sticker. Candace, big shout out to you. Thank you for the super sticker. Very cool of you, Candace. Tom Graves with a $2 super chat. Only thing Trump ever successfully sold was out. I get it. I get it. Thank you, Tom. Nothing here with a $10 super chat. Wow, thank you, guys. Appreciate that. What a great Friday gift. Ryder TV coverage showed Air Force One flyover being booed. Wow.
Oh, the flyover was booed. Wow.
Man, they're booing the flyovers.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Ron Cook with a $20 super sticker. Big shout out to Ron Cook. Thank you, Ron. Really do appreciate it. What a great gift on a Friday. Eric Swalwell is the rep from my area, says Janet. Love how he pushes back. Yeah, he doesn't have quit in him. He's really something.
He represents us here in Union City also. Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Union City is a part of his district as well. Cool, cool, cool. So I had a conversation with the former ambassador to the Holy See, the Vatican. And he's a former congressman, too, who served kind of, if you want to think, old school Republican. Like we would argue about real policy and political philosophy, if you want to think of it that way, or economic philosophy. But now, with MAGA having overrun his party, we were curious to see what his disposition was on that and on the new American Pope. So on a Friday, I just had this conversation, what was it, 2 days ago, Kim? Mm-hmm. And I can't believe this. Mark Thompson bongs would be so cool.
Where are my weed smokers
Man from the West 420. I'm sorry to interrupt my intro, but I just
Anybody been a weed?
Funny. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, so
yeah.
Ambassador Francis Rooney joins us now. Check it out.
Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
Right on, everybody. Right on. Thank you for being here. And it all too appropriate as you feel it in your soul. Someone who's very close to the Vatican, very close to that world. Ambassador to the Holy See under the Bush administration. He is a returning contestant. Comes back for another round. How about it for Ambassador Francis Rooney, everyone? Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Great.
All right. Well, that's everybody I care about for now. So let's press ahead. I'm super anxious to get your thoughts on a number of things. I want to get your thoughts on the relevance of and the importance of and even the disposition of the new Pope when we get to that, because that's sort of an area you know so very well. But because you served in Congress and you, as a member of Congress, you were part of a GOP that feels as though it might have quacked a little differently than the GOP of today. I'm curious if I'm curious as to your just general impressions of everything going on today, and your party, which is control of both houses of Congress, has the executive branch, and it would seem the Supreme Court is dominated by sort of a GOP disposition. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the state of the state.
Well, I'm not sure that the MAGA group is the old GOP.
You're not sure?
I grew up with Ronald Reagan. I worked for two Bushes.
Yeah.
It was an entirely different world. The constituency of the Republican Party now is a lot of people that used to be Democrats. The people that used to be the core of the Republican Party are flailing around or becoming Democrats, I guess. I don't know what most people are doing. I'm trying to figure out where this thing's going to go. But
what would you do if you were those people who you talk about? Like I guess you're talking about the Liz Cheneys of the world, kind of.
Sure, and me. Okay. Yeah. And, the fact is they still need us, okay? They have low 30s of hardcore MAGA people, but they can't get across the finish line in a general without us. They can win a primary, and that's the unfortunate fact that it's driving all parties to the extremes. But at the end of the day, you got to have the middle to win in the big election, and that's where we're going to have our opportunity to speak.
So of the things that are going on right now, what is the thing that you find you're bothered by the most? What shocks you the most? What
is this a 3-hour interview or just hit the high points?
Well, there is a lot.
What
I mean,
that
there is a lot,
FCC
isn't there?
chairman
Yeah.
said was outrageous. The thought of an FCC chairman talking about bullying networks to provide content that the FCC wants is outrageous in our free democracy. Some of the comments made by other administration officials about prosecuting hate crimes, which are not hate crimes. If you look at Brandenburg versus Ohio, the standard's very strict. These are very disquieting to me. I think we're entering kind of a wannabe authoritarian world here.
The fact that Donald Trump turned early on against the world of academia, the law, and media, that's sort of authoritarianism on full view, isn't it?
It is. I'm having a 3.5-hour cabinet meeting on TV. That reminds me of Allo, Senor Presidente, what Chavez used to do. He used to have these 3-hour marathon TV sessions where he would explain his view of everything. That's what we got going now.
It's funny that the despots through history can really riff for hours. I remember the Castro could go on for 4 or 5 hours. They talked about that, and it just. And I'm sorry, I put Trump in the same category. And
Eisenhower said, "History doesn't repeat itself, but it can rhyme."
Sure,
and it's rhyming now.
Yeah, and it's not rhyming with anything that we've seen in America before, is it, Ambassador?
No, I think it's challenging a lot of our fundamental institutions. I mean, the institution of the impartial bureaucracy. Trump's turned them into demons. The respect for separation of powers. He's tried to shatter that at every step. Congress is a willing participant because they're so scared of losing their job that they've given all their authority away. And I felt that when I was in Congress too. I said, what am I doing down here? We don't do anything. We do whatever someone else tells us to do.
This is where the traditional GOP, of which you're a part, I suppose, you just said you were, is finding itself honestly complicit in what's happening. There were opportunities to push back against this president, but as you suggested, they were frightened. They were just scared.
Well, you look at some really good people in the leadership now that have generally had different views than Trump. They're cowering to him. That's like The Road to Serfdom. Every American should read The Road to Serfdom by Friedrich Hayek, because it happened in Germany, it happened in Russia, and it can happen here.
Even the suggestion of kind of the deal with Ukraine, the posture toward Ukraine and Russia, feels as though it has a kind of an appeasement associated with that which we saw in World War II in the primordial ooze of World War II.
Well, it's going to take a lot more resources than anyone's been willing to devote to beat Putin, because he doesn't care if he kills every living Ukrainian. He just wants the property. And unless we choke off his economy, and we got to get the Europeans to quit buying his oil and gas, that's the only thing I can think of that would help do that. He's going to continue to do what he's doing.
Why do you suppose that the president's had such a friendly posture toward Vladimir Putin and these clearly expansionist impulses that he has?
I don't know. There have been a lot of theories advanced about that. There's been theories advanced that there's certain personality types that he respects. There's been theories advanced about money. But at the end of the day, I give the president the benefit of the doubt and say he's trying to figure out a way out of this, and that involves appealing to both sides. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if it's the case or not, but we've got to appeal to Putin and Zelensky. They're going to have to meet in the middle. Russia's not going to give up the territory they have, and we're not going to allow Ukraine to get into NATO.
When it comes to other international relationships, it seems as though this incoming administration just less than a year ago was already sort of on an adversarial footing with some of our longest term allies and trading partners, Canada, Mexico. There was the tariff policy, which seemed to be, somehow preordained in some way, such that, one couldn't even really apply any arithmetic to it. I wonder if you can give me some thoughts on, again, the relationships between America and all of these other countries to which I've referred sort of that are implied here, and also the economic viability of what this administration is doing.
Well, we're hurting some of our best friends, Canada and Mexico, with whom we are wed geographically and economically. And they're all doing the things that we have pushed them to do for the last 50 years. And I can't see how these tariffs are going to work out when we get so many auto parts from Mexico, steel from Mexico, aluminum and building materials from Canada. We're going to start to see those things filter through the cost structure in the United States, and that's not good. And take poor Vietnam, okay? Vietnam picked up the mantle and took over a lot of offshore manufacturing that we wanted them to take over to get away from China, and now we're putting tariffs on them.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Vietnam, because I think it's also an example of the president extracting something from Vietnam, a concession in the way of building the Trump resort that they wanted to build there for some time. In return for, I mean, it was implicit, I suppose, for the lifting of the tariffs. They did this, as you're aware. You know, they moved people who were in residence there.
It's a little sad here. It's a little dirty.
Yeah, I mean, you worked in Washington, and you know that, you know, politics can be a dirty business sort of day to day, but wouldn't you concede the dirtiness is now rising to a level we'd never seen before?
Well, those kind of quid pro quos are kind of an all-time high. That's ought to be quasi illegal. But you know, we have a government that has taken directions that none of us know how to deal with. It's never been done before. The authoritarian language, the oppression of the bureaucracy, the aggression towards our neighbors and friends. And at the end of the day, tariffs have never worked. And I can't imagine how they're going to work now as producers get their distributors and consumers to ultimately pay for them.
Now to an area you know so very well also, and that is the Catholic Church and the new Pope, who is an American. Were you surprised, by the way, by the fact that an American was chosen?
Oh, for sure. I never thought they'd pick an American. 82% of all popes have been from Italy, and really all but about 3 have been from Europe. There was one guy from England in the 10th century. And by and large, I thought Pietro Parolin had the inside track. He was the number 2 in the Secretary of State's office that I dealt with when I was ambassador. But there were 3 or 4 other Italians in the running, and I don't think they could come together around Cardinal Parolin. And so the momentum shifted to Cardinal Prevost.
The Pope is, maybe you can describe him for those of us who don't sort of follow this stuff as closely. The Pope is what? And can you describe him, you know, his posture toward any number of things that cross the desk?
This particular Pope?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sure. I know him very well. I've known him for years. He was head of the Midwest Augustinian Order when I was on the board of an Augustinian school that all children attended in Tulsa. He came down to the board meetings every month.
Oh, wow.
You know, have the board meeting, and then we'd have a social night, a cocktail reception and dinner, and et cetera. And then in 2002, I believe, maybe 3, he became head of all the Augustinian Order in Rome. And we went over to see him with the kids. And then in 2005, we moved to Rome to do the ambassador job. And third night we were there, we had dinner with him. We had him over to the house all the time for 3 years.
So how might he change anything that's the existing Catholic Church or Catholic doctrine, or suggest changes?
I think that he will be much more calm and judicious than Pope Francis, who could be a little raspy at times. I think he will be more faithful to church doctrine than Pope Francis, but he will be also more focused on the human condition as Pope Francis was, kind of down the middle.
When you say raspy, that's interesting to me. You mean commenting or outspoken about certain things going on in the world, or what do you mean by raspy?
Oh, Pope Francis? Well, what did he say? All these things about the United States, about migrants, about the evil of not dealing with migrants. He used expressive language, put it that way. Whereas I think you'll see Pope Leo being more judicious in his phraseology. But
so
he'll say
it's more style than a changed disposition toward those issues. Okay.
No pope is going to not seek better treatment of at-risk, marginalized migrant people. That's their job, and they should. And I think he'll do it in a more effective manner, perhaps, than Pope Francis. And he's already started that, talking about some of the evils of the immigration activity that we're doing in the United States right now. And
when you say effective, you mean that he could actually help produce change, or what
yeah,
defines
I think
efficacy in
people
this?
his message will resonate better with people.
I see.
Than being barked at. You know, if he says, you know, that these are human beings too, and yes, they're here illegally, and they need to be vetted, instead of just saying, oh, the United States is a criminal country because it's rounding up immigrants. And I think that there's room in there that he might be able to actually improve the plight of some illegal aliens in the United States who have clean records by his pronouncements. And I hope so, because we need the workers. The math doesn't work in the U.S. without them.
This is the ridiculousness of the policy, because it's about to turn the American economy, along with the tariffs, on its side, in my judgment. Right. Now, you can help me with something as someone who's far more learned in these areas of religion, and you'll pardon me, because I don't mean to fold something that is quite well advertised right now on social media. Maybe you've heard about this. The rapture is coming, and they have specific dates for it now. I wonder if you can remind me just, and again, the rapture is the end times, right? Isn't that the and maybe that's not part of Catholicism.
It's not Catholic, but it's evangelical, and there's a lot of evangelicals that want to go sit up on top of some mountain somewhere and await the rapture.
Okay, I see. Okay, well, it's interesting to me that it's become so much a part of mainstream social media. I guess it's a story. End times, gets a couple of clicks, so maybe that's why it lives, so prominently on social media. But it's interesting to me that religion generally, I think, and even the message of Christ, I would say, and those religions that I would associate with Christianity are being reconstituted all the time. And even as this new crew comes to power, I'm talking about the MAGA world, it seems to be defined in some ways by a religiosity that isn't Catholic, and it isn't even Christian. They even suggest Jesus, his message isn't necessarily extreme enough in some cases, as they would like to see. I mean, it's an odd thing to hear from so many.
Yeah, I think they're kind of radical evangelicals. And I don't know where the message comes from, if it's based in any kind of scripture or anything like that. But I do know that since Pope Leo became Pope, hits on Vatican internet sites and interest in the Vatican is up a lot. A lot of young people have expressed interest in Pope Leo and his talking. The Jumbotron he did at White Sox Park attracted millions of viewers. And so if he can enthuse these young people about Catholicism and about religion in general, that's a really good thing.
Pope Leo, good for the brand, is what you're telling me. Is that right?
Totally.
Ambassador, I love our chats, brief as they are. Appreciate you coming through, and I look forward to the next time.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay, all the best. Ambassador Francis Rooney, everybody. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Loving it, loving it, loving it. Wow. Well, we've got a lot more to go. We've covered a bunch. We covered the Comey stuff in the first half hour. The weaponization of the Justice Department on a level we've really never seen before. You've got the FBI, of course, weaponized under Kash Patel. I don't know if anybody saw much of this, and I've had a debate as to whether or not I was even going to address it today, and I may address it with video documentation on Monday. I have to be sort of careful about how we do it, and that is the narrative that's growing up around the Charlie Kirk murder and the Charlie Kirk assassination, and whether or not this Tyler, is it Richardson or Robertson? Mm-hmm. Whether that kid actually committed the murder or if it was a shot from a different place. And there were these ballistics experts and firearms experts, and most of this is based on what I've seen from those who are firearm enthusiasts and those who kind of have a lot of history with firearms who have looked at the video and the narrative and sort of suggested doesn't line up. So there's plenty of this stuff out there. If you want to find it and that intrigues you, you can certainly find it. And what I'm going to try to do over the weekend is distill it, grab a little bit of video here, a little bit of video there. And I also have to be very careful because, of course, you're dealing with a horrible incident that is pretty hard to watch and will likely end up, getting us whatever. We can't show it to you. But that said, it's interesting to see the way in which there is a conspiracy narrative, just to state it bluntly, that's growing around the Charlie Kirk murder. So that we'll likely get to on Monday. But the reason I mentioned it in the context of the weaponization of the Justice Department, the FBI, of course, under Kash Patel, is very much on the same jihad that Donald Trump is on, going after the enemies list that Patel has, melded in some way with the enemies list that Trump has, and they are involved in the Kirk investigation as well, and they want to knock down any kind of conspiracy theory. That Patel is sort of like, I'm here, I'm handling the investigation, everything's great. He's sort of that, peacocking around the investigation that we heard. And so he wants to knock this down. And so as I look at the narrative and conspiracy theory associated with it might be not the way the FBI is saying it was, I'm nudged toward conspiracy theory by the fact that Patel, who is, I think, a liar on almost everything, he's so wedded to the story we heard that it's this. You can see the guy, he dismantled the rifle 4 times and then left the assembled rifle there at the scene or in the woods. As you check off on the specifics, they don't seem to necessarily track with a linear theory of things. On the other hand, the narrative around the actual shooter does seem to support the notion that he was the guy. So I'm being tugged back and forth on this thing, but I do find the stuff intriguing, and so I'll share a little bit of it with you on Monday. These stupid conspiracy theories are just ridiculous, says CC Ryder. Tyler told his dad. Dad went to youth pastor. Tyler's dad would not turn son in if someone else did it. Sick of this crap. Oh, there you go. All right. I think CC Ryder may be right, and then she gave me another, let me see. I thought I saw something else from CC Ryder, like, Mark, here it is. Mark, love you, buddy, but please do not say sorry, but Trump. This is a reflexive move by Democrats. Unwind this. No need to apologize for reporting facts about Trump. Stop this. Do you know what she's saying? Or it's CC Ryder's a woman, right?
I think so.
Yeah. What do I do reflexively that I need to unwind?
I don't think you need to unwind it. I think it's just a way of speaking where you say, sorry, but Trump, and then insert fact. Right.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, but Trump is turning the White House into a Middle Eastern palace, like that. I would say that, or sorry, but Trump has turned the Justice Department into his own arm of retribution. I see.
She's saying no need to apologize first, just say it. But
it's
I think
just a figure of speech. I'm sure I do a lot of other things that are rhetorical crutches that drive people crazy. They drive me crazy when I'm watching back or listening back. I go, oh, why do I say it like that?
Who doesn't drive you don't drive crazy is Kasuki.
Kasuki, come on, Kasuki Warner. Wow, that is a huge, huge donation to the show. $50.
Yay.
Wow.
Big shout out.
Big shout out.
And I love the name Kasuki. Kasuki.
What is the 22?
I don't know.
You see it there, right? It says 22.
Yeah, it says 22. Yeah.
Any insights on that? No?
I have nothing. Mm-mm.
She Like 22. What is that from? What movie is the line She Like 22 from? Anybody? She Like 22 is what? From one of my favorite films ever, from one of my favorite people, drawing breath, and Keisuke has drawn attention to 22, the number. She liked 22. I am guessing that no one in the chat, there are about 1,000 people watching right now live. 22 is 50% of 44.
Taylor
That's
Swift
a great
has
callback
song
to
that's called 22.
Catch 22 is not the answer. City Girls, no. It's a movie. It's a movie.
Were you in it?
No.
Mhm.
It was before I begun my distinguished motion picture career. It is the movie directed by Albert Brooks. It is the movie in which he, as the lead character, and his wife, they check out of society with their nest egg and they go to live off the grid, if you will. But they stop first in Las Vegas. And while he's sleeping, his wife sneaks down to the casino with all of their money, over $100,000, their nest egg. Yes, B.A. Ware's got it. Lost in America is the name of the movie. And she loses everything in roulette. And she's betting 22. And she's yelling, come on, 22, 22, 2, 2, 2, 22. And as she's dragged away from the table, having lost everything, they cut to this older Asian man who's smoking a cigarette. And he just looks up and he says, he just looks over toward Albert Brooks's character and says, she liked 22. And it just is a great moment in that film. I recommend that movie. Yeah, I saw that movie and they asked for their money back. Exactly. They asked for their money back. There's a very famous scene that follows that scene immediately in which they ask for their money back. And it's pretty terrific. Anyway, that's what made me think of it. Keisuke, thank you for your contribution to the show and a big shout out to you. I appreciate it.
Can I give you a compliment?
What's that? Yeah, sorry.
I know you like a nice compliment. That interview that you did with Ambassador Francis Rooney gave me hope, because I really love the way that two people that come from such opposing viewpoints really found ways to agree on things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a throwback, it's a throwback to a time when, there was, my distinguished colleague from Alabama leaves out the fact that people depend on Medicaid for, et cetera.
Right.
You don't find it anymore. You find, that's you'd hear, of course, the liberals with their radical left philosophy. They want to turn this country into a socialist empire. You hear that. And I believe the discourse has been so corrupted that it's very hard to find that kind of exchange of ideas that you're talking about. So I thank you, but I feel as you're talking to an old schooler, in Francis Rooney. We'll get a new schooler on here and let's see how civil it is. Now, I'm pretty civil. I'm not like a flamethrower, so maybe that's a way in which you can.
But you have a guy in him who, obviously served in the House as a Republican, who was an ambassador under a Republican administration, who can meet you and talk about how one of the things he said is we need these workers, immigrants that are being, taken away in horrible ways. He said, we need those workers.
Yeah.
He said Trump is not good for America.
Oh, well, he knows. Yeah, I take your point. He knows what he sees. There's, and I think he's a smart guy. Francis Rooney is a very smart guy. So I think the obviousness of what's happening in Washington now in this administration is something that's undeniable. Now, the only way you deny it is if you're a Marco Rubio type thing. You have you're playing the game. There is, or a Scott Bessent, or a Lutnick, or these guys are so compromised. They've just sold their souls. So they know they have to sing from the hymnal. Their political lives and maybe their physical lives depend on it. And there's a lot of real fear in the MAGA community in Washington that if they don't walk in lockstep, that they literally could have a problem with MAGA Nation. And in some way, as this political violence becomes something that is more relevant to the discourse, they could end up, in a very bad place. So, but I think he's a fundamentally civil guy.
Yeah.
And a very smart man. So,
and reasonable. And it makes me think about how we can get back to this place where in order to be a Republican or a conservative, it doesn't mean you have to be MAGA, and how to convince MAGA people to go back to their conservative ideals that may be rooted in common sense, and instead of this blind following of Trump, which leads to constitutional turmoil.
Well, the wild thing is to watch them twist themselves into knots, trying to justify and explain everything from tariffs to the weaponization of the FCC to the weaponization of the Justice Department. I mean, it's a wild thing to see. This country is quickly turning into a MAGA-stan. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think it's there. The Mark Thompson Show brings me some comfort, says Mike and Willow Glen. Comfort and stability during these troubling times. Thank you so much. That's so lovely. Thank you. And I thank you, Kim, for that. I also, if I just want to remind you of what a mess it is, have a second Law and Disorder. That's right. It happens rarely, but it is not unprecedented. This is part 2, Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Americans traveling to most of Europe, you are now going to have fingerprints scanned. It's a new regulation set to take effect soon. The change comes as the European Union rolls out its new entry-exit system for not just Americans, but all visitors from outside Europe's Schengen area. That's the countries that allow people in the zone to travel across borders freely without going through custom checks. This is all since, the European nations got together, the EU. The new system is going to be introduced gradually over a roughly 6-month period. Starting October 12th, it'll eventually replace passport stamps, according to the EU. So in addition to the fingerprint scan and being photographed, Americans will have to provide details from their passports, like their full name and date of birth. The system will also collect when and where they're entering and leaving the EU. U.S. citizens traveling to most European countries should expect new automated border checks and to have their biodata digitally collected upon arrival and departure, according to our State Department. This is a sign of the times. It is technology meeting the freedom of travel, and that's, I think, really the way the whole world is going to be going.
So what happens then when we give them our fingerprints in order to get into the European Union? Is it kept in some Interpol database? What happens to it?
It probably is kept in a database without question. I don't know if it would be an Interpol database. Interpol is a law enforcement arm of the international community that has sort of a loose relationship and reciprocal relationship with a lot of different countries, but it wouldn't surprise me if it ended up in Interpol database of some kind, or if at least Interpol could ask for a fingerprint match.
Does that seem kind of invasive to you, just to travel?
No, it doesn't. I mean,
really?
No, it doesn't.
I don't want to give my fingerprints to someone. What are they going to ask for? DNA next?
Well, I mean, DNA might be more invasive, but fingerprints, I don't know, maybe it should bother me. It doesn't. I mean, does giving your passport bother you?
I guess not, because it's not like a, part of my actual, I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of information on your passport. I mean, who you are,
Sure,
where you come from. There's a lot of information on that. So
yeah,
if
but
that's
it's not taking part of my physical attributes. I don't know. It just that bothers me. It
Yeah.
feels
I
like
think immigration in other countries, they do take your photo too, and they do match it with your passport, so they do have some information.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you have the biometric scan.
I mean, they're not
it just
they're not
feels like
asking you
criminals
for
get
a
their
rectal exam.
fingerprints.
It's just your
don't love
fingerprints,
that.
man.
Like it feels like you're being arrested. Take your picture and print you and book you. Come on.
I mean, maybe that's
I'm
the
just
way it
trying to go
feels
to
to you.
Paris, man.
To me, if you can
I
make
just
the
wanna
whole
go see the
process go
Louvre.
if you can make the whole process go more quickly. I mean, you've traveled internationally. The whole thing is incredibly lengthy, oftentimes, and particularly, Albert. You go to Asia. You know this. Going to Vietnam, going to many of these Asian countries. It just feels like there's just a glut of people. And by the way, to be fair to Asia, same thing when you come back to the United States of America. There are these long lines to get through. Now, I have global entry. Now, global entry works on retinal scan, I think, and also fingerprints. And you get right through. It's crazy. You literally, I think, don't even have to go to a kiosk. It spots you and can let you through. So my view is, hey, man, you want my fingerprints? Fine. I mean, I'm not doing anything wrong. And as Albert says, there's enough in there. I get it, Kim. It might feel a little, creepy, or like
Very
Big
creepy.
Brothery. But the reality is, it's just a technology that is caught up to what was a paper technology before.
I love Rick, who says you'll have to enter countries like Jason Bourne. Yeah, on the back of some boat shivering under a blanket.
Maybe
That's
they think
right.
we're all a bunch of Jason Bournes, though, Kim. They see all the crime and all the guns here, and they don't want us to go to their country. They want to make sure if we do try to that kind of American stuff over there, they want to know who's coming in and out.
Yeah, Kim being asked why she and her family are traveling in the bowels of a fishing boat.
Right.
Mom didn't want to give up her fingerprints, and that's why we're doing this. Wow.
Says those biometrics use your finger to open your phone. You can guess who has your print now.
All right.
See what I'm saying?
Kim's not about it.
I blame you.
All right.
Yes.
She's not about it.
It's ridiculous.
Meantime, I mean, could it be used in bad ways? Of course. But I just feel as though it's a sign of the times. So that Louisville factory that had a bunch of workers who had questionable legal status in this country. It's a GE appliances plant. They have 5,000 workers, including, I guess this place make 2 million dishwashers a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's big. Like, they have a lot of kitchen appliance stuff. Every 15 seconds per line, there's a dishwasher coming off the line.
Not anymore. There's not.
But nearly 150 workers back in May, mostly Cuban immigrants, were laid off. This after the Trump administration abruptly changed their legal immigration status, and that was something, again, that happened overnight. So they were there legally, but all of a sudden their status changed. It was a Biden-era parole program, and it temporarily protected roughly 500,000 Cubans, Nicaraguans, Haitians, and Venezuelans from the risk of deportation. Well, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, moved to terminate that program back in March. A lower court temporarily halted the end of the program. Then the Supreme Court in May allowed the administration to move forward with its plan to terminate that program while the rest of the legal battle played out. That's the weird thing. We talked about it with David Katz, where the Supreme Court says, okay, go ahead. You can change the status of these people instead of just enjoining or stopping any change for that moment. Putting a stay on any change, I guess, is the legal term. But anyway, these people have their status changed, and the Department of Homeland Security began delivering notices via email informing recipients living in the U.S. under this program that their permission to remain in the U.S. had been rescinded. They were told to leave the country, and they had to get rid of all of these people at this GE plant that is making 2 million dishwashers a year. We're still short of people. We still are training people every day on the job, said Nathan Schultz, who works there at the plant in Louisville. They put us on overtime from that point to the beginning of the year. It's more pressure on everybody, they said. And into the world of bizarro Trump economics. Trump is now imposing import taxes on pharmaceutical drugs, kitchen cabinets, furniture, and heavy trucks. The 100% import tax on pharmaceutical drugs is associated with demanding that these pharmaceutical companies have factories in America. There's a 50% tax on kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities, 30% on upholstered furniture, and 25% on heavy trucks. All of this starts October 1st. The deal is that the additional tariffs are going to, of course, intensify inflation that's already going up. And Trump is saying that the pharmaceutical tariffs would not apply to companies that are building manufacturing plants in the United States already. He defined that as either breaking ground or being under construction. It was unclear how the tariffs would apply to companies that already have factories in the U.S. In 2024, America imported nearly $233 billion in pharmaceutical and medicinal products. That's according to the Census Bureau. The prospect of prices doubling for some medicines may affect people's disposition toward this president. I mean, you've got Medicare and Medicaid beginning to become eroded at best. And now you have an environment in which we're already paying the highest drug prices in the world. And you may double those drug prices. Although I leave all percentages to teacher Lori on this show, but 100% I think is double. Trump said that foreign manufacturers of furniture and cabinetry were flooding the United States with their products and that tariffs have to be applied for national, this is a quote, it's a classic Trump quote, for national security and other reasons. The new tariffs on cabinetry could further increase the cost for home builders at a time when a lot of people are trying to buy a house and they feel priced out by the mixing of housing shortages and high mortgage rates. Trump saying that foreign-made heavy trucks and parts are hurting domestic producers. Large truck companies, manufacturers like Peterbilt, Kenworth, Freightliner, Mack Trucks, and others will be protected from the onslaught of outside interruptions, according to Trump. The president continues to claim that inflation is no longer a challenge for the U.S. economy. Despite evidence to the contrary, the consumer price index has increased about 3% over the past 12 months, up from an annual pace of 2.3. It's 2.9, to be fair about it, from 2.3 when Trump first started all of this madness. Also, there's no evidence that the tariffs are creating factory jobs or more construction or factory facilities are being laid out in any kind of way that's going to matter. Since April, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where we've already fired somebody who gave the bad news once to Trump, has reported that manufacturers cut 42,000 jobs. Builders have downsized by 8,000. And the royal family from Abu Dhabi will take stake in TikTok.
What?
Yeah. MGX is shared by Sheikh Tanoon.
Why does that feel like some underhanded backroom secret illegal deal?
Because it is an underhanded backroom secret deal. That's why. Yeah. You guessed it, Kim.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
You can play for the big money. The Abu Dhabi royal family is going to take a 15% stake in TikTok's U.S. business. Donald Trump signed an executive order brokering this deal, valuing the social media company at $14 billion. MGX is this fund chaired by Sheikh Tanun bin Zayed Al Nahyan.
That's great.
And will take a 15% stake and gain a board seat when TikTok US is now spun out. As you know, Larry Ellison's Oracle, the private equity group Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi's MGX then would control about 45% of TikTok US. And American companies are expected to control just over 65% of the company when all is said and done. And I will remind you, something we reported on earlier in the week, the other investors now who are being granted ownership in TikTok are the computer pioneer Michael Dell and Rupert Murdoch, among others. So it has TikTok been something that has been a very, should I say, desirable brand to be part of. The algorithm is key, and the algorithm is what the whole thing is. But what you now have is a delivery of TikTok to the hands of the super rich, and it increases the footprint of the super rich when it comes to media control. And this is something I talk about all the time. You know, you're seeing very few people and very few companies in control of a lot of information and a lot of media. That's only a bad thing.
Be aware
So
says it's going to be an authoritarian's dream to have both X and TikTok controlled by MAGA billionaires.
Well, think about that. You've got Musk, Ellison, Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. They control everything. I mean, they commit their money to media because this is a way to control information, and it's a way to increase their riches. We just finished the Amazon lawsuit settlement this week. They have to pay $2.5 billion to settle a legit claim that they were foisting on many who were Amazon members the Prime membership. And if you wanted to get out of Prime, it was almost impossible. It was 13 clicks.
Yeah.
And wasn't it in multiple screens you had to go through?
Yeah.
It was so bad that they sued. Yeah. And they won against Amazon. They've got some pretty good lawyers. So what you now have is continued control of the world of media from a handful of people. It is not good. I mean, what's happening at the LA Times, owned by their billionaire, and the Washington Post, owned by their billionaire, and all these media chains, Sinclair, Nexstar, this is the rise of right-wing dominance through those that have all the money. So media consolidation is that thing which I've been sounding the alarm on since the 90s when all of this happened. They released the number of stations that you could own. It used to be 7 owned stations. Mm-hmm. Like, so the Foxes, the ABCs of the world, they could only own 7 stations, and they let that go. And they allowed the ownership of both a newspaper and a television and radio station in the same market. That used to be prohibited. Then they released even the number of stations. They increased the number of stations, if you want to think of it that way, the number of stations that these companies could own. And that's how you end up with Sinclair and Nexstar basically controlling everything, or even an iHeartMedia, or all the, I mean, they just, the growth. And if you're these companies, I don't blame them. But, you know, you can do it. They'll let you buy up all of these stations. You're essentially buying up the power to reach all of America. But from an information and news standpoint, you have all the control. You have all control of media and entertainment in a handful of people's hands. Not a good thing. That's Law and Disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I know what you're saying. You're saying Friday Fabulous Florida. Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Forget it. It's done. No.
What?
Oh, no. I would never do it. I'm not even going to trim it.
Mutiny. People
not even
will
going to trim
rise up. This is bad. You've got to.
Snyder, Culture Blaster.
Yes, sir.
You're out. get your culture and your blast and get the hell out of here. You're done.
There's
no time for you. There's no.
typical.
You're
So-
done.
By the way,
Don't talk to me that way.
just so people know, I'm not that other Michael. I'm just saying. You remember that other Michael?
No, I don't.
Okay, fine. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Who's the other Michael?
Michael Shore. Never mind.
Oh, Michael Shore. I get it
Oh
now.
my
Yeah.
God, have you not had your Coachella? You should have another cup of Coachella Valley coffee like I'm having.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
are having it, and it is pretty great. I'll tell you, it's particularly fabulous in these mugs.
Mine is in the Born to Peacefully Protest mug, a new mug
yeah,
that
so
you
this
can
is
get at the Mark's merch site.
Yeah, this is Peacefully Resist. This mug is beautiful with its with the Snyder has one with the the traditional logo on one side, which is the logo. It looks like that behind me. Anyway, if you want one, get to getmarkmerch.com. But if you want the coffee that goes in the mugs, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Use our discount code MarkT at checkout, and you'll get 10% off anything. You can't talk like that to the blaster, says Cassandra.
Thank you,
The blaster did great last week, chiming in during Friday Fabulous Florida. So
yeah, you're going to
do that
be
again.
you're going to be called upon to chime in again on our Friday Fabulous Florida segment. This is a segment that we brought from the radio when this show started. It was a radio offering, and we had a very popular segment called Friday Fabulous Florida. We still have a popular segment, and it's still called Friday Fabulous Florida. Now we do it at this point before it's kind of the end of the week, before the blaster comes on, the culture blaster, give us all the news about movies and about entertainment and streaming. So without any further delay, let's do it. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A Florida woman sprays a man with silly string, throws the empty can at his head. This is all at a this is all
I mean, it sounds like fun and games until the can comes whizzing by your scalp.
Yes, thank you. I mean, this is at a restaurant, I think, is what I was looking to see. It's at Pinellas Park, Florida's favorite restaurant, I believe. A woman facing criminal charges. The Pinellas Park police saying she used something meant for fun, silly string, to attack a man at a restaurant. And then Crystal Watts, who's 48 years old, seen here having run out of silly string and now just all about personal charisma, showing I don't think she's kind of cute.
No, kind of looks like Pee Wee Herman somehow.
No.
She has very high eyebrows.
Are we sure it's silly string? This is a restaurant. Is it not linguine? Come on, tell me it's
not,
actually
no.
linguine.
That would be that, and that is something that has been a part of stores before. Throwing pasta is very popular in Florida.
She has no vowels in her first name, and I'm bothered by that.
She couldn't afford it, Kim.
The Y's working like a vowel,
No,
Kim.
no.
I mean, you do not have to be so tough on her. Kim is so tough. My God.
No. Take
Girl
your
on girl
very
crime is my
bright
least favorite.
looking face and.
This is pretty funny. She spells her name Krystl. Crystal, that way, without the okay.
Timu Ellen DeGeneres.
I can't help but think
that's
Crystal.
Right. Timu Ellen DeGeneres. That's a great call. Love that.
I can't help but think that Crystal's involved somehow.
Well, crystal meth is the other great. Dillette has crystal meth, Krystal meth. That's just so great. Oh, you guys are so funny. I am going to give you just the facts of the case. She attacked this guy with silly string, sprayed him there at the OCC Roadhouse, and threw the empty can at his head, caused a laceration to his forehead. He was going to be okay. I think the laceration isn't going to cause any permanent damage, but she may be permanently damaged from this situation. She was hauled away on a misdemeanor battery charge, and she's cooling her heels there in the wherever you cool your heels, the heel cooling place.
The who's gal.
That's exactly the word I was looking for. Thank you. The who's
In
gal.
Florida, perhaps the meth tank.
Yeah, the meth.
I love the use of the silly string. It's kind of like a Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry kind of like distraction to try to
It
get
is true. It feels cartoonish. Yes. A Florida woman insisting she's Trump's wife is busted trying to get into Mar-a-Lago. I love it.
Does she look like Melania?
Well,
Which
maybe.
wife?
Yeah, exactly. A Florida woman, Trump's ex-wife now, the one who passed away. A Florida woman who keeps claiming she's married to President Trump has been arrested while trying to get into his Mar-a-Lago estate. Christy Renee Kimbrell, 49. She's contended for the last several months that she's actually Christy Renee Trump and that she recently tied the knot with the 47th president.
Wife number 4?
She was arrested when Palm Beach cops were alerted to an unwanted guest. The unwanted guest who wanted to drop off a letter to Trump around midday. U.S. Secret
it's a
Service.
wild idea, but it just might work.
Yeah, why not? She's at best a 7. I only go out with 10s. She was arrested. Secret Service flagged her, and apparently she wanted to meet with the president, according to Secret Service. When asked for identification, she had nothing to offer beyond claiming that she'd recently changed her last name to Trump because she had married the commander-in-chief. Wow.
She's a really pretty lady. She needs, though, if she really wants to be fitting in with the Trump ladies, she's going to need a lot more makeup and a sneer on her face.
No, she needs filler. Come on, Kim. She needs filler.
Yeah.
You're right, though. She's not bad. I bet you she cleans up real well. And finally, Florida authorities find a 14-foot slithering danger near a busy road. That's right. It was the invasive species of snake, the Burmese python. 14 feet long. There was a report from a construction crew that had spotted this gigantic snake near their work site, according to the cops. Authorities responded to the snake sighting in Pinerest. This is a village roughly 11 miles southwest of Miami. They found this 14-foot Burmese python right there at the scene. And right there along US 98. There they have it. You can see the substantial look. I like how the cops are all like, they're used to this. You know what I mean? They're used to handling these weird things. The
in Florida,
Komodo dragon or the snake, whatever it is. The invasive species poses a serious threat to Florida's native wildlife thanks to the quick action of those in the community. According to Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, the Burmese python is not native to the state. They originate from areas in like India, China, and Southeast Asia. They spread through Florida through the exotic pet trade. So that is, I'm sure they're going to rehome that creature, but not in the wild.
No.
So with that, we must pick a favorite. It's either the Florida woman spraying the silly string and then throwing the empty can at the guy's head during an attack at a restaurant. The Florida woman insisting that she's here to see her husband, Donald Trump. Only no one has ever seen her before. She's insisting, however, that she had married Donald Trump and that she wants to get into Mar-a-Lago to see him. And the Florida authorities finding the 14-foot slithering danger near that busy road. We must pick a favorite. First, I'm curious. A lot of people like crystal meth.
Yeah.
Because of that KRYST. It's just so good. It writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Some I don't see anybody for anything else but the
We've got some Trump second wife.
Oh,
going
Trump's
on.
second wife. Yeah. There you go. Gone fishing like Silly String Ellen. Silly String Ellen. I love that. What's your favorite, Michael Snyder?
Well, I would maybe have gone for the python if the cops had named it Monty. I would have really enjoyed that immensely.
I get it, Monty Python.
Yeah, and as far as Mrs. Trump, the fourth Mrs. Trump, anything having to do with Donald Trump mildly nauseates me. So I'm going for the silly string because the word silly is always engaging, and this woman is clearly a lunatic.
All right, silly string. How about you, Kim?
I'm definitely with the silly string lady, and I love Heather's Timu Ellen. The best.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
I agree. Albert, what was the win in the chat?
Yeah, everybody loves the Ellen knockoff. I think that is the obvious choice this week. I think just the look, just the lack of vowels, the creativity in the chat. It's just it's obvious for me.
Timu Ellen is the winner.
Woo!
And that's Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
I'm way into it. I know. You're thinking, hey, he must be running out of gas, right? No, we are not. We are all fueled up, recharged, and ready. I am taking any last-minute comments that I need to attend to, though. And let me try to attend to them. Mark, context. You said in Rooney interview, despots can riff. I'm sorry, but I put Trump in the same category. No need to say sorry. Facts are facts. That's all. It's a rhetorical way of speaking. Sorry, I put Trump in the same category. I mean, I don't know. I mean, wow. Okay. I'll try not to say sorry anymore. I mean, it's just, even when I say sorry, it's a rhetorical riff. I'm adding the word sorry gratuitously because I really mean it's a rhetorical riff. It's just not it's a rhetorical style. I'm sure it would be better if I could eliminate it, but I just, seems to me like an odd bust. I understand everybody's got their pet peeves. When you watch somebody, you go, I wish that guy wouldn't say I'm sorry. It drives me crazy. Sorry, but that's just the way I speak. And again, just added it. Sorry, but that's the way, Sorry, not sorry. Lucy McCall, and I'm ready to. I apologize for everything and change everything I can. But I really think on this one, you're just really being a pretty tough cop on the beat. Lucy McAllister, $20, and I love your input into the show, so please don't take it personally. Lucy McAllister,
big shout out,
$20 super. And let me just say, Lucy McAllister, I love your family, as I do the Kim McAllister family, but you have been very active, and you are very active, and I'm, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Lucy. Chaplain Fred with a $20 super chat.
Big shout out.
I just came from a Chevy dealer to buy parts, and 65% of the parts are coming from Canada and Mexico, and they're on back order. Chevy does not know when the parts will be available. I wonder why. What you say, Mark? Yeah. This is just, it's lunacy policy. Lunacy. And then the lie about what tariffs are bringing in. They brought in $2 trillion, two with a T. $1 trillion. No, they haven't. They haven't even brought in $1 trillion. They haven't even brought in $500 billion. No, they brought in $150 billion. And the price we're paying is the loss of allies, trade wars with friendly countries, and, of course, Americans pay more for everything. They won't rehome pythons. They even have python hunting contests here to try to reduce the population. Yeah. Thank you, Wes. You're right. In fact, it is true. They're an invasive species, so they are now sadly not going to... that one was there for a long time, 14 feet long. I had to be there for a while. Yo, did you get your tie-dye? Says Richard Delamater. Yes, I did. Thank you for the $2. I mean, I didn't get it yet, but they called me to say it arrived, so I'll get it on Tuesday when I go back there. No King's Day. Jeanette says, my computer is going, oh no, I'm not going to have the same problem I had the other day. Michael, I hope we get this segment off.
You might be, you're a little frozen right now, but I think he dropped. Kim, you might have to duck in here to help. I guess there's
And here we go. Yeah.
Well, I guess there's no because I think they're on the same computer. I'm not sure.
Let's bring it on. I'm doing it. It comes and goes on a rainbow.
No, but then he's on Mark's computer.
Oh, that's right. Oh no.
There's no remote Snyder.
Oh, all right. How about we do a little news? I could do that.
Let's just fill a little bit. I think Mark's gonna rejoin. I think.
Oh, here he is.
This is
Okay.
exactly what happened the other day. My mouse goes back. First it freezes, then I go out. And so that's
getting
what I
ready
was
to do
worried
the
about.
news. But now that you're back, let's get right to Snyder.
No King's Day. There will follow up. If you cannot attend, then boycott with your pocketbook. Do not spend any money on that day. Boycott with your pocketbook, says Jeanette Sizzle. Thank you. I wonder if Sizzle is really Jeanette's last name. What a great last name. Anyway, thank you for all your input. Thank you for the support of the show. Really appreciate it from everyone. Patreon and PayPal subscribers too. So appreciate you. A couple of new ones. I'll recognize you on Monday. But now he comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for the culture blaster, Michael Snyder?
Hey, hi. And speaking of high, it is the high holy days.
Oh, yes.
And of course, any day getting high is a holy day. I'm wondering.
Is that how you get onto a rainbow because of because you're high?
Well, maybe. You know. By the way, I see you, man from the West 420 and Richard Delamater. I know what you guys are up to.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Yeah.
Anyway, I know I'm a couple days late, but I want to wish Lashana Tova to my Jewish friends and a Shana Na Tova to all the Jewish rock and rollers. I don't want to whip anyone into any kind of frenzy. Speaking of high holy days, but the annual Folsom Street Fair is on Sunday in San Francisco. Not for kids. There's going to be a lot of fun at the Cat Club there. I'm going to actually still be in Los Angeles, but I am heading back to SF this coming week, so we'll be doing remotes for at least a couple weeks.
All right.
I have a busy week.
Yeah, well, still, it'll be fun to go to that fair.
Well, you know, I'm not going to be able to, but I know a lot of, of the freaks and geeks of San Francisco are going to be strutting in their finery. Let us talk about movies because Oscar season is upon us, I think.
Yes, sir.
I can feel it, particularly as befits these first two films that I'm going to discuss. One Battle After Another is another superb, deep, smart, funny, and provocative movie from one of the current masters of the cinematic arts, screenwriter and director Paul Thomas Anderson. From Boogie Nights to Licorice Pizza, this guy has been delivering fascinating films, and he oftentimes has a Southern California connection. And in this case, there's a little bit of that. But in a significant way, One Battle After Another is about fighting the power and the consequences and repercussions faced by those who do so for righteous reasons and the often brutal retaliation of those they oppose. So, sounds a little contemporary, timely. It's basically romping revolutionaries versus right-wing creeps. So in terms of the relevance, in addition to that, it's a thrill ride, It deals with politics, including the immigration issue, the rise of white supremacists, the puppet masters of oligarchy and all that. That's all kind of implied in a lot of this film. And it's also out front as well. There's family drama. There are scintillating performances with Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn leading the parade of accolade-worthy actors. Let me get to the details, but I do want to say initially, before I get to that, One Battle After Another was inspired by a Thomas Pynchon novel, the 1990 book Vineland, and so was another Anderson movie, the incredibly underrated early 70s dramedy set in Southern California and based on Pynchon's Inherent Vice. This is a different beast. Bob, played by DiCaprio, is retired from his youthful underground activities against the machine, and he's hiding out, getting ripped, and trying to keep a bloodshot eye on his teenage daughter, Willa, whose mother, an unstable fellow rebel from back in the day, played by Tiana Taylor, has been missing and presumed dead for years. Meanwhile, Penn's Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw is in dogged pursuit of Bob and the ex-Perfidia, the woman played by Tiana Taylor, after a violent act of refugee liberation years ago, humiliated Lockjaw. Plus, Lockjaw has a very unhealthy interest in the daughter, Willa. So the action here is on point. Sometimes hitting like a sucker punch, but always in the service of Anderson taking down the tyrants, essentially. And the satire here is sharp. It's seething with fury at the evil done by the powerful and the power mad. In some ways, one battle after another is about the perils of extremism and also about the strength and the drive instilled by family devotion. You know, it's funny, as I was watching this, it didn't occur to me, but in the aftermath of the movie, I thought, there's a parallel or two with Les Miserables, with DiCaprio's character, kind of a stoned Jean Valjean trying to escape his past and move on with his life.
Yeah.
And Penn's character as kind of an unhinged far-right Inspector Javert, coming after the guy and you know, not relenting. Again, there are funny moments and there's action aplenty. This is a hell of a film. I do believe that DiCaprio and Penn are both going to get awards nods for their performances here. It crackles, as I like to say. And, oh, by the way, Benicio del Toro plays kind of a lefty sensei who is the teacher of young Willa at a local dojo. And he's also kind of helping refugees come into the country on the sly and housing them. There are so many wonderful aspects to this film, and it is there's never a dull moment. Let's put it that way. So one
I talked
battle.
to somebody else who went to a screening who said that it was just perfect. It was just they loved it.
It's fantastic. One battle after another is in theaters this weekend, written and directed by the great Paul Thomas Anderson. One more quick note, casting-wise, Regina Hall shows up as one of the fellow rebels and holding on. Oh, and the young actress Chase Infinity is a revelation as Willa, the teenage daughter. It's great stuff. Okay. Eleanor the Great is a new film, and it's the first movie directed by Scarlett Johansson. And you don't want to just give her a mulligan because it's her first film.
What?
But, you know, it's damn good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a thoughtful script here, and Johansson is very able from the director's chair. And there are lovely performances all around in this film, led by the ever-sharp, gently funny and surprisingly tender June Squibb, still getting it done in her mid-90s. I mean, she's remarkable. So it's just pretty wonderful. Bereft after the loss of her friend of 7 decades, Eleanor leaves her retirement home in Florida and decides to head to New York City, where her disapproving daughter and extended family lives. And Eleanor tries to rebuild her life in the time she still has. Through happenstance in this film, Eleanor finds herself stumbling into a therapy group for Holocaust survivors, connecting with this progressive biracial college kid who seems to bring out Eleanor's long-buried maternal instincts, which sure as hell aren't on display toward her own daughter. And Eleanor's going with the flow to the point where she may be washed away by what we'd call a torrent of her own making. Eleanor the Great is kind of about the question of how we process grief. You know, the escapades of Squibb's salty, no-nonsense character are wildly entertaining, but there's no mistaking this tough shell shields a broken heart. Man, paired with Squibb's wonder of a lead turn in last year's Raya, geriatric undertakes a caper comedy, Thelma, Eleanor the Great cements her place as one of the great elder actors to command the screen in recent times. Squibb is something else. I'd never seen her before the Jack and Triumph sitcom she did with Robert Smigel a little while ago and Jack McBrayer. But man, she has incredible depth and
wow, really likes it.
I did. And I know some people may have quibbles, but Eleanor the Great is in the select theaters, and I do believe she's going to be in the awards conversation at the end of the year. Can't help but feel that's the case. Echoing the starkness of certain crime dramas set in desolate places, Dead of Winter works pretty well within its parameters while giving no less than Emma Thompson and Judy Greer opposing roles that are miles from their more comedic, crowd-pleasing endeavors. You know, Emma Thompson, the renowned British actress, Judy Greer, an American. They're both playing Americans, and in fact, they're playing Americans from the Minnesota area. And I don't want to belabor the obvious. These women have range. So this is set in the frozen wilds of Minnesota, and the movie finds Thompson doing what could be construed as a characterization similar to that of Frances McDormand's folksy and plucky sheriff in Fargo, but all that changes in short order. Thompson plays Barb, and Barb is on a solo fishing expedition to a remote lake when a snowstorm puts her in the crosshairs of Greer's gun-toting bitch character and her compliant partner, who have a nefarious scheme in progress. And I don't want to get into the details of the scheme, because I think that would undercut the enjoyment of watching this movie. And it gets a little implausible at times, but it's very well crafted. And its fierceness and its momentum and the sheer energy and determination of Thompson's Barb make Dead of Winter a lot of fun to watch. It is in theaters. It was directed by Brian Kirk. And I had a good time. It's one of those entertainments at a little noirish quality, which is something I really, really like. That's Dead of Winter.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right. This is something of great interest to those of us in California, and particularly Northern California. The movie is called The Lost Bus. It's set during the terrible campfire of 2018, the one that devastated Northern California's Butte County, the community of Paradise, and the surrounding area. The Lost Bus basically dramatizes the true story of a busload of school kids being driven through the inferno as it escalates around them. It's as harrowing and as realistic a disaster movie as I've seen in quite a while, maybe ever. And it stars Matthew McConaughey, perfectly cast as bus driver Kevin McKay, a scruffy guy wrestling with family conflict and financial problems. And he is supported by America Ferrara as elementary school teacher Mary Ludwig. These two strangers are thrown together, and their mettle is tested when they're tasked with shepherding 22 children to safety as this unchecked wildfire rages around them. And people are trying to flee the conflagration. It's clogging the roads. This is craziness, and it's real. Based on a book about the deadly tragedy that engulfed towns and trailer parks and countless dry acres of forest, The Lost Bus was really well scripted and expertly directed by Paul Greengrass in incendiary, You Are There fashion. And not only did he give us a real-life thriller, Greengrass, who directed 3 Jason Bourne movies and Captain Phillips, he was unafraid to pull punches about PG&E's complicity in the fire, nailing the macro tragedy of the calamity as it ramps up, and still able to hone in on the personal drama of McKay, Ludwig, and the kids on the bus as the trip unfolds. Wow, pretty potent,
pretty intense. Exactly.
It's in theaters now, and it'll be available for streaming on Apple TV Plus October 3rd. So if you have a subscription, it's on the way, and I highly recommend it. Another Apple TV product, if you will, is All of You. It's a sweet romantic drama with a sci-fi premise that seems only days away, frankly. It's about Simon and Laura, a British man and woman who met when they were in college, became BFFs while never taking, let's call it the leap into a sexual relationship, and have remained devoted to each other. They seem kind of like the perfect couple, yet they never admit the true depth of their feelings to one another. So Simon keeps his yap shut when Laura decides to take a trendy, scientifically formulated test to find her soulmate and ends up marrying this guy. Still, the unresolved feelings between Simon and Laura linger, and that puts them in a quandary. All of You works beautifully, even if the story might not take the obvious turns one would expect. And its biggest strengths are its 2 leads. Brett Goldstein, best known as the surly veteran soccer striker Roy Kent on Ted Lasso, and the winsome Imogene Poots. Goldstein, who co-wrote the script to All of You with the film's director William Bridges, brings his trademark rough charm to Simon, while Poots delivers kind of appealing earthiness and warmth as the adorable girl next door grown-up Laura. All of You is never saccharine and never false. The soulmate test notwithstanding. Again, that's the sci-fi element. But again, this stuff, we're online all the time, and systems are reading our likes and dislikes, and it's not too much of a stretch to imagine that there will be some manner of this in the near future. I recommend it for softies, cynics, anyone with a little romance in their heart.
Oh.
It's in theaters, and it's also, as of today, now streaming on Apple TV Plus.
How nice.
You know what? Let's wrap up the movie segment by talking very briefly about a revival, a restored 1954 French romantic comedy drama called School for Love. And one reason this is so fascinating to me, and I enjoyed watching it, it's like a little slice of life from a more innocent time. It stars Jean Marais, who was the star of Jean Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast. He played the Beast in the original great, fanciful, groundbreaking, visually stunning Beauty and the Beast. La Belle et la Bête. And Marais, by the way, was Cocteau's lover, but that didn't stop him from being a leading man back in the day. And he co-stars with a young Brigitte Bardot, who is brunette in this film and exudes a sort of innocence, but at the same time, sexual power. You could see it bubbling under the surface. This was co-written by director Marc Allegret and filmmaker Roger Vadim, who would marry Bardot and direct her in the steamy movie that made her an international star, And God Created Woman. By the way, a couple wives later, Vadim would also marry Jane Fonda, who starred in his mod 1968 sci-fi satire Barbarella. School for Love is just a fun glimpse at an earlier time. And again, I just enjoyed watching it, and it's available on Prime Video and Apple TV Plus. Yeah,
with the subtitles.
It's in black and white. No, you have to guess what they're saying if you don't speak French.
Well, I was just making the point, Mr.
What?
Sophisticate.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
So everybody, by the way, it's all about the kids in a conservatory in Vienna, a musical conservatory, and they all want to get next to Marais' professor character, who's, married to an opera star and suave, and everybody has the hots for him. And that's the basic nature of School for Love. And that's it on the movie front.
Well, you've done a great job, great one. You've come through with, you want to throw in a TV show real quick?
I'll just say quickly, it wouldn't be Michael Snyder if I didn't say something about superheroics or sci-fi. We mentioned the sci-fi elements of all of you, but Marvel Zombies dropped on Disney Plus. It's an alternate universe 4-part series wherein a zombie plague strikes Earth and many of Marvel's superheroes, forcing uninfected heroes to fight back and seek a cure. It's animated, so you got to be aware of that, but I got a kick out of it. And I just can't help but want to say, Slow Horses is back. Oh my God, more espionage and mystery involving the misfit agents of MI5's Slough House Annex, led by the savvy but slovenly Jackson Lamb, a career role for Gary Oldman. It's the 5th season based on the wonderful books by Mick Herron. And of course, Kristen Scott Thomas is still on board by playing the by-the-book boss at MI5 HQ. God, the Slow Horses, I just love it. I love it without any.
Yeah, it's pretty terrific. I've seen a bunch of season 1. I got to catch up because it really is amazing. And as you say, he's just brilliant in it. Slow Horses season 5. He recommends and reminds you it's out there.
It's on Apple TV Plus. We got a lot of Apple product today.
Marvel Zombies. He really likes that. It's an animated offering, and he recommends that, which is also streaming. School for Love is the 1954 romantic French comedy, slice of life of a simpler time. Jean Marais played the original Beast in Beauty and the Beast, co-stars with Brigitte Bardot.
A young Brigitte Bardot. It's on...
Kim, I think the signal dropped again.
It went away. Yeah, he was going to say it's on Apple Plus. So a lot of good movies to watch, and
I think this also was one, All of You, which is on Apple
he was going to talk about
TV.
that. Yeah,
As we guest host, also on Apple TV, The Lost Bus. I think
that I'm really interested in seeing that one.
I'm going to get through this whole goddamn show, and then I'm going to reboot this whole neighborhood. I was saying School for Love, All of You is the sweet romantic drama with a sci-fi element. Michael really likes it, especially if you want a sweet romantic drama. I mean, a little bit of a kind of a pleasant escape. The Lost Bus dramatizes the true story of the school kids being driven through the campfire inferno. You just saw a glimpse, I think, and Albert and Kim were talking about that. For Northern Californians, it really does resonate and even more.
They use a lot of real footage from the actual fire. It is immersive and it's chilling and really well done.
America Ferrera and Matthew McConaughey in that one. Dead of Winter, Emma Thompson, Judy Greer. He likes that. It takes place, I think, what did you say, in the Dakotas or in the Midwest somewhere?
Yeah, it's in Minnesota.
Emma Thompson and Judy Greer doing good work there. He liked it, even though it's not a perfect movie. He liked it.
It's very entertaining.
Eleanor the Great, directed by Scarlett Johansson. It's her first directorial offering, and it's good. June Squibb is great. The actress in her mid-90s rocks it. That's what I always say, man. I hate this ageism. I mean, people are vital and doing good work into advanced age. Eleanor the Great, it's in theaters now. One Battle After Another is the Paul Thomas Anderson offering. Politics, family drama. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro is in it, and it is terrific.
It is. I'm so glad I wasn't going to crap on any one of these films. Every one of these movies had merit of some sort or another, even if it's only entertainment value.
I love that you made it through. Thank you, Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster. You can read his musings at thevoicesf.org. You can find him here on Fridays. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Love that. Wow. Got to get out of here before the, the bad stuff happens. I got to, oh my God, what a headache. What a headache. This being bumped off repeatedly. Looking into sabotage. I'm going to be taking a Tylenol.
I said
taking a
Metafin,
I tried to come to
known
the
as
studio.
Tylenol.
Tried to come to the studio, and the elevator screeched to a halt, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right. Well, it's been a great
Sabotage.
week, everyone. And I don't want to neglect anyone, but and I won't. We're not neglecting anyone. Time to stop. I mean, I will tell you, I paid for the upgrade for us to upload faster and better. There's nothing I can do on our technical side, it would seem. So I don't know what is happening, but I know that it is bumming me out. Time to take an edible and kick it.
Very smokers at.
Very excited to talk to the folks we have on Monday teed up. Kim, who is coming up on Monday?
Oh, we have some really exciting guests on Monday, and that includes Gary.
It's Liz Oyer on Monday, everybody.
Former U.S. pardon attorney coming onto the show.
Yes. Kim and I agreed that Kim's going to do what's coming up on the next show. So we're still kind of shaking that down. But I'll find a special production element for you. So it's going to be a big deal. So it's coming up. So yeah, you want to have it together. She's doing After Party Live. We'll see you Monday, and thanks everybody.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Crazy week in America and across the world. We're out of time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Out of time. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Thanks for the support. See you Monday.